You've been talking a lot about accountability versus micromanagement.
Yeah.
Let's dig into that.
It's interesting because now with everybody working remotely, this becomes a topic. You don't have micromanagers that are looking over your shoulder all the time. But I've run into so many people who, and there are so many bad bosses out there, right? Partially because of a lot of metrics that don't need to be measured because they're not important. But people are kind of revolting against managers, against management. And every time they have anything nice to say about their manager, it's that they just left them alone and let them be. I don't need anything from you. I can manage myself. Don't tell me what to do or how to do it. You just tell me what number to hit and I'll hit it, whatever. That doesn't happen very often. We both know that. So I see that the culture in most companies is switching so far away from micromanagement, or they're so afraid of micromanagement that they're forgetting to hold people accountable. And, when I've asked this of people before, and I said, so how do you define accountability? Or what is the difference between accountability and micromanagement? And they're like, I don't think there is one. It's like, whoa, well, then why do people like being held accountable? Why do people hate being micromanaged? And their heads explode. They don't quite know how to unpack that. So I can define it, but I want you to tell me what do you think is the difference, and what's your experience been with micromanagement versus accountability and the line between the two?
The word autonomy comes to mind for me, with micromanagement taking away a lot of the person's autonomy around their goal, how they go about doing it, et cetera. Whereas accountability implies that I am bought into this. I am bought into what we're doing. I'm bought into the target. I'm bought into the skill that I am working on building right now. So holding me accountable to me implies that I'm participating in this. It's not just some micromanagement kind of thing. I never agreed to do this thing in the first place, and now you're all over my ass about it, about how I should. That's kind of what I think about with accountability and micromanagement.
That's interesting, because the way I think about it is similar, but in different terms. I think in accountability, I believe the manager has involvement in it. And so in the manager, instead of looking over your shoulder, asking you if you did that thing for him or for her that you didn't want to do, the from an accountability standpoint, it's, hey, look, we both decided that this was important. One, because we're both responsible for a revenue number. If I'm the manager, you're responsible for a portion of my revenue. I want to make sure I help you achieve that. I want to see you win. I do not want to see you fail. So I'm going to check in on you. You had some things that you said you were going to do because we agreed the terms of this agreement with this project, we were going to work on it. You were going to do these things. I probably had a couple of things to do. We're going to meet and we're going to talk about whether or not we got those things done. Just to check in. That accountability partnership there is necessary. That's why people hire trainers. That's why people hire coaches. That's why people do a lot of things, just to have an eye on it and to make sure that someone else is looking out to make sure you do this too. But the thing that makes the real difference is when the manager comes to you and says, Jason, I see you didn't get that done. What got in your way and how can I help? Do you have everything you need? Can I help you in a way that you weren't thinking about? Now there's collaboration. Now there's partnership. Yep. Now that engagement increases the likelihood of success, and it also increases the morale about it. And it's not like, did you get your homework done? It's like, hey, I see you didn't get your homework done. Is everything okay? And did I not explain something to you as the teacher, right? That could help you.
There's a benefit real quick. There's a benefit of the doubt. It sounds like you're giving the other person when you do that.
It's empathy, right?
Yeah.
It's realizing that, hey, a lot can happen in the last 2 weeks since we've met, and a lot could have gotten in the way of this project. And if it got in the way of this project, how do we make sure it doesn't get in the way again? How do we overcome it this time? Did you get an objection that you didn't know how to handle? Did you not have a piece of collateral that would help you change the conversation? Like, what is it that you need? Let's work on this together instead of, hey, get your shit done. Like get your stuff done doesn't help anybody. All that does is establish the inequity in the relationship. I mean, you've managed people before. You've been on teams, certainly been managed before. I mean, you know the difference between a great boss and a terrible one. And a lot of times it comes down to this. How many bosses have you had you wanted to lay down in traffic for? Like
one. And he's my best friend now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and did he hold you accountable?
Yeah. And I think that accountability, I feel like has this like boot camp type of feel to that word. And I think the way I always hold people accountable, I don't manage as many people now, but got a couple of virtual assistants that we work with. And, you know, and when I'm working with managers actually at other companies, it's like, you don't have to be an asshole when you bring something up, unless you feel like someone's disrespecting themselves and disrespecting, your time and not doing the things that they say. It's, hey, Jeff, we talked about doing this thing. Like, what's up, man? Clearly it didn't get done. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I just kind of smile and kind of laugh about it. It's like, what's going on? And I think that this is something I learned in therapy. I always go back to therapy with this stuff, when you want feedback from people, you have to make an environment. You have to create an environment that's very welcoming for feedback.
Right.
So as a manager, you absolutely should want feedback from your reps. And when you go to hold people accountable, if you don't do that in a way where they feel comfortable telling you that, well, actually, there's this thing that I'm stuck on that I was too afraid to bring up because I thought you might think that I was just bringing up a bunch of excuses, but it's making my job really hard. Something they need from IT or marketing or from another department or whatever. I think creating that environment, I hate to say safe space because that phrase is used in so many different ways, but creating a safe environment for your reps to come to you and actually express frustration and things that are going on and giving them the benefit of the doubt that they aren't using that as an excuse for not getting their job done.
Well, and look, because stuff is going to come up but this all starts from a place of, we're both admitting this is important, right? And if it's important, we need to get it done. And so when it doesn't get done, it's like, hey, wait a second. You said it was important. I believed you. I trusted you. And I still believe you and I still trust you, but it didn't happen. So something bigger must have come up. Whoa, what happened? Now, there's opportunities here for at later meetings to have coaching sessions and really get through some stuff. But this is the like face-to-face, like what happened and how do we get through this together? And maybe it's just, sorry, I dropped the ball. It won't happen again. Well, I'll be damned if you ever let that happen again. If you're the right kind of person, right? If you're the right person for the job, if you're the right person to be doing that thing. But I believe that because of the feelings of camaraderie that are instilled, I believe that people love being held accountable. They appreciate when they're held accountable, if they're doing the right things and they're in the right role. And the accountability drives the right kinds of activities. Because look, you and I have both been this sales guy a couple of times. We certainly know a lot of salespeople who are like this. But when things aren't going well, what do? You talk about all the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this going, and we're just playing phone tag now, and they're going to get back to me here pretty soon, and I got a meeting coming up. This is going to be a big one in a couple of weeks. And you can filibuster a pipeline meeting to the point where nothing even gets talked about, but you're talking about all the things that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
All of that activity means nothing if it doesn't drive a result. So talk about the result. And it's uncomfortable there for a little bit, but if you've got the right people having those conversations, that discomfort actually causes a change in behavior because they don't want to be there again. And they want that good outcome. They want those revenue dollars. They want the wins. It's if you do it right, and it's not that hard if you do it right, it fundamentally transforms the culture of a sales organization.
Yeah. One last thing I would add to that to kind of button it up is, how do you coach a rep? And if you are a rep watching or listening to this, how do you create self-accountability? I think one of the most underrated strategies, man, and it's so simple, is have an accountability buddy or accountability buddy. I've heard it called. I do this in varying different forms now. I am married to someone that I can do it with. I'm in a Slack group with you and Liston Witherell and Rasheed Nathan, and we don't share goals in there necessarily, but we talk a lot about what we're working on, and sharing stuff and having even a structured meeting with another rep. It could be another sales manager. It's you helping facilitate. I do this a lot with our clients. Like, hey, each one of you should have an accountability buddy on your team, or it could be another team. It could be a friend that does sales at another company. Like, where once a week you come in and you have this pressure of, did I follow through with the things that I said that I would do between now and our last call? That little bit, man, has been such a game changer for me in my career.